So now we're starting to get somewhere. We've identified some faulty or out-of-date thinking that kills our very best intentions. We've gone to work developing a new set of thoughts, carefully constructed to be out of phase with the defunct intention-killing thoughts, and we are now ready to install the upgrade. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just hit install and then accept the terms of agreement and go grab a cup of coffee while the system did its thing? Yeah, but alas, we're talking about the human system, so no dice. Again, I defer to physics. The human brain comes equipped with a very tight security system, designed to make sure that if we really want to delete the old program, we have to be absolutely darn sure we want to replace it. This is actually a genius design. It is super secure and super effective at keeping us alive and ticking. The way it works is this. When we begin to install a new program, the system only allows for it to be installed one thought at a time, just like the old default was installed. The old program doesn't get deleted until the new program has proven itself to be strong enough to take over. This ensures that we don't accidentally delete an old program prematurely and crash the whole system, which would be a disaster. Another way of saying this is that the brain will not pay attention to the new thinking until it has been launched enough times to gain enough signal strength to create a path of lesser resistance, just meaning bigger bandwidth, than the old original default. Only then will the brain allow for the system to begin deleting the old circuit. And even then, the old circuit is deleted slowly and systematically, a few synapses at a time. This is called atrophy or pruning. What is even cooler is that the brain actually uses the old hardware, the neuropeptides and the neurotransmitters from the old circuit to build the new. The brain actually recycles. Pretty efficient. What this means for us, however, is that the brain changes very slowly and methodically, and only through the repeated infusion of new thinking to ultimately cross that threshold and allow the old thinking to fade away. We're talking lots and lots of practice strokes. So how do we surpass this threshold? Well, by creating massive amounts of synaptic activity with our new thoughts. In the game of brain function, it's all about synaptic activity. The thought or set of thoughts that creates the most synaptic activity wins every time. Each time we fire a set of neurons to create a thought, we literally form roughly 10,000 brand new synapses to complete that thought. Each time we think that thought again, add 10,000 more. Now this may sound like a lot of synaptic activity, but when you consider the fact that the brain has the capacity to form 500 trillion synapses, this is actually rather small. Scientists estimate that we think about 100,000 thoughts per day. If that's correct, then the average person living to age 75 is going to burn up a little more than half of the human brain's storage capacity, about 270 trillion synapses. All of this is to say that the thoughts that we're trying to surpass, the old default thoughts regarding food, may have huge synaptic networks numbering in the hundreds of millions or billions. Suffice it to say that we have some catching up to do. Now, if we had to catch up with these massive networks at a mere 10,000 synapses per stroke, the size of one thought, we would never likely catch up with the old default in our lifetime. So we're going to have to get the job done in a different way, not by merely trying to think the new thoughts. Fortunately, there are ways to step up the signal strength of these new programs. The easiest way to begin stepping up the signal strength is by writing these new programs down. Now, by writing, I mean every form of converting thought to the written language. This can include, of course, pen and paper, typing, texting, and even dictating into a phone or computer. It takes a sizable amount of cognitive horsepower to create a written thought. The brain has to formulate words, phrases, and sentences to represent that thought. And this includes grammar, spelling, punctuation, and syntax. It also includes the motor movement of the pen or the keyboard. Now, of course, dictation eliminates some of the motor activity, but given the fact that one can actually dictate 5 times faster than writing or typing, it evens itself out. Plus, dictating is so easy and so convenient. It clearly has become my most favorite way to write. It's estimated that the synaptic activity involved in writing a thought is 10 times the activity involved in thinking that thought alone. So by writing our thoughts, we're increasing the power of thought exponentially. Reading back these written thoughts adds to the strength of this activity. Now, I'm not talking about just writing down these thoughts once and then reading them over and over. I'm talking about writing them over and over. When I was a kid, I remember having some consequences for bad behavior. That included writing, say 100 times, "I will not talk back to my teacher." Yeah, I was kind of a rebel back then. As it turns out, there was some real neurobiology behind giving this kind of a consequence, although my teachers probably didn't know that. These days, with functional MRI instruments, one can actually observe how that activity literally writes a new program in the brain. So writing is literally accelerated by loading a new program into the human hard drive in very, very powerful ways.